it's Tawney. In today's video, I am continuing my ranking video, and I'm going to be ranking all of my foundations. Now, as you can tell, I do have quite a bit. I have a lot ranging in price. Most of mine are more drugstore price, but I do have some that are a little bit more high end. They're going to get the same kind of treatment as the rest of these. I do have some I have stick foundations, I have some that come in a tube, I have some that come in glass. So let's just go ahead and get started. None of these are going to be based on the way I feel about brands. They're not going to be based on like, oh, this is a dewy foundation, so it automatically sucks. That's not going to be the case. It's just all how I felt about it. And again, they're all based on my opinion. So if I feel a certain way about a product that you feel the opposite way about, just know that it might not have worked for me and it might work for you. I'm really glad it does work for some people because there's some in here that I have that I really would like because I know a lot of other people do, but they just don't work for me. So just keep that in mind. It's just personal preference. It's just based on what works for me, what doesn't work for me. Some of these may be a little bit different opinions because of the skin tone. Some of these I do have a little bit too light or a little bit too dark, so that kind of definitely weighs a little bit in my decision on picking them, but it's not going to affect it unless it's shade range. Then I would make it a problem. Like Flower Beauty has a terrible shade range, so I might make that be more of like an issue and a determining factor rather than just if I had picked a bad shade. So let's go ahead and get started. The lower foundations, let's see. I'm trying to think of one. Oh, okay. So I have the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. This is the plain one. I have Shell Ivory. I believe this is my shade. It comes in a paddle. It's more of a matte foundation, but it's very more like fresh. This one, I just don't see myself using quite as much. I prefer the dewy one so much better, so it's going to go at the bottom. I might rearrange these after I've gone through them because some I do prefer. Like, I might see one and be like, oh, I like this one less than this one, so it all just kind of depends. The next one, let's see. The next one is going to be the Maybelline Superstay multi-use foundation stick. I don't find myself reaching for foundation sticks. This one's in the shade 120. I think it works just fine. I think if you're looking for a foundation stick, it's okay. The sponge on the opposite side is horrible. I wouldn't even recommend it. I would chop that part off. I think they could have done without that. I just don't see myself reaching for it much because it just doesn't do enough for my skin to like make me excited to use it. So it's going to go at the bottom. Same with the ColourPop foundation stick. It's the no filter stick. I have mine in Fair 27N. I'm going to put this lower just because I don't find myself using it. I'm not a big fan of it, so I'm going to put that lower. The next one is going to be, let's see. I have one twice, so I'm going to have to put that aside so I don't talk about it twice. You can see it in the background there. Okay, to speed things along, we will do, okay, the CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made Foundation. I have mine in the shade L30. I believe that, yeah, Golden Ivory. I like this foundation. I think it works fine. It might be a little bit too matte. I know a lot of people don't really like this formula. I think it works okay. I kind of think I need to get a new one because I've noticed that it just doesn't perform quite as well as it used to. But it's been the same one I've had since it came out. So I might look into getting another one, but that one I'm just going to put further down. Next one is going to be the Hard Candy Glamouflage Full Coverage Foundation. Mine is in the shade Linen. I do like this foundation. I think it sits well on the skin. It's not a bad foundation. I just don't ever find myself reaching for it, and it's not crazy or good enough for me to like feel the need to use it. Next one's the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation and concealer. Mine is in Creamy Vanilla. I think this is a good shade match for me, but then again, their shade range is a little bit weird. Like, I don't know, one seems to be a little bit too, like, my skin. Like, I think there should be lower shades, and I know that there are of this. I think they've increased their shade range, but I still kind of feel like it might be a little bit much. I don't know. I think this provides a lot of good coverage, but I think it might be a little bit too much. I hate to say that because I feel like that's not something that should exist, like too much coverage, but I don't find myself reaching for it. It's one that I could see myself decluttering and not missing, so for that reason, it's going to go down below. Next is going to be the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir Foundation and I have the shade 710 Classic Ivory. I really like this foundation. I think it sits well on the skin. I know a lot of people have had issues with this one. They've had pilling, they've had weird breakouts. I think it just all depends on how well CoverGirl's foundation formula works with your skin, particularly this one. I know that they've changed the packaging, so I'm not sure if the formula changed as well. This is the old one. I really like this one. I could see myself using it more often, but I'm going to put it lower because I just have ones that work better. Next is going to be L'Oreal Infallible Longwear Shaping Stick, and mine's in the shade 402 Nude Beige. I think this one works better than my other foundation sticks. I find myself reaching for this one more than those, but again, I still don't find myself reaching for those nearly as much. I don't really recommend foundation sticks unless you're not going for full coverage, or you have more mature skin, or you're getting into makeup and you just want something to put on your skin, but you're not really looking for any kind of benefits in any positive or negative way. Like, you just want something that's gonna like cover the color of your skin, basically. The next one is going to be the Revlon Candid foundation, and this is in the shade Porcelain. I've heard that the glowy one's pretty nice. This one I didn't mind, but I definitely would not repurchase this. It's not something I really reach for. It's not something that I like get excited to use. I honestly couldn't tell you much about it because I don't remember how it works because I don't use it. Revlon's on a brand that I particularly like. I found that their foundations break me out pretty bad, so I don't like to use them. So I'm actually thinking about decluttering this one for that reason. The next one is the Rimmel Stay Matte foundation. Mine is in the shade Fair Ivory. I've heard really good things about this foundation, and when I first bought it, I liked it, but I found that I don't like the moussey formula and like texture of it, so for that reason, it's going to go further down, just because I find that moussiness, it makes me use more, even though that makes it more full coverage. So I'd like to get more use out of this and to try using it some more just to see how I feel, but to a point, I just don't find myself reaching for it. The next one is going to be the Flower Beauty Light Illusion foundation in the shade Shell L0, I think. This shade range is atrocious. I think this foundation is either too light or too dark. It's one of the two. It's not like a perfect match. This is too dewy for my skin, and I have very oily skin. Even when my skin was like extremely oily, which has kind of become more combination oily, I found that it was too much. Like, I couldn't make it matte enough to work on my skin. So if you're more of a dry skin, I would definitely recommend this. I know a lot of people like it. It's just not one that I find myself ever reaching for. So I think this is one I might actually declutter just for that reason. The next one is the ColourPop No Filter foundation. I have the shade Fair 30. This foundation's okay. I think it works okay. I think this is good for younger people who are just looking for something, again, to like cover the color of their skin. Not like if they have discoloration of any kind, it would like even that out. That's what I mean. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. If you're interested in it, go for it and try it, but it's not one that I would like tell you to go out and get. Next up is going to be the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturizer. I have the shade Fair 3W. I think this is a pretty good shade match. I typically don't like tinted moisturizers. I prefer something with a lot more coverage, something that's a little bit more like matte, but not so much dewy. I think this one kind of brings out some of the dewiness, so if you're more dry skin, I would definitely recommend it. I just need something with more coverage, and I don't find myself using this, so it's going to go lower. Same with the NYX Bear With Me Tinted Skin Veil. I've used this one more than the Pretty Fresh one. I have the shade Pale Light, and I think this works really well, but again, I just need more coverage. The next one up is going to be the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Full Coverage Foundation. I have the shade F4. Makeup Revolution has a really good range in terms of shades. I find it really easy for me to find my shade. I know that in the concealer and the foundation, I have these shades that work, and they're consistent every time, no matter which release they're coming out with, and I think their foundations work really well. I really like that this one is a doe foot. It's a pretty big size doe foot because it's easier to apply. This one works. It's very full coverage. It's a little bit matte, so if you're not looking for matte, I wouldn't go for that. I'm just putting it lower because I just don't reach for it, and they have another one that's better. Next up is going to be the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. I have the shade Light Beige. This is a really good foundation. It's really good coverage. It lasts all day. I just don't find myself reaching for it because I have ones that I like better. Next up is going to be the CYO Long Lasting Foundation. I have the shade, I think it's 101. It doesn't really say on here, but I see a small little 101 number. I think this works really well. It offers really good coverage. It's a very nice foundation, but I think they're being discontinued by Walgreens, so that's the only reason I'm going to put it kind of lower. I'm actually going to switch it with the Catrice one because I use that one more. I'm trying to keep them out of the way of the camera, but it's a little bit difficult. Maybe I'll start a second row, so that way it's easier to find. Next up is going to be the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Hydrating Foundation. This is the foundation, not the tinted moisturizer. I have the shade Fair 30N, which is the same. Oh, I have Fair 30W in the Pretty Fresh tinted moisturizer, but they're about the same. I think they have a good color range, shade range. I keep forgetting shade range. It's a really good shade range. It's a really good foundation. It's nice for people who want more dewy foundation or dewy coverage, or like the product to finish dewy. I would definitely recommend this if you're looking to test something out from ColourPop in terms of like face products, but I just don't reach for it quite as often, but I do like it when I use it. Next one is the Makeup Revolution Fast Base Stick Foundation, and this is the shade F4. Again, this is my shade in foundation, and I know that I can just go somewhere, pick it up, and it'll work. I think this is a really nice foundation. This is, I believe, Smoky Glow's favorite foundation or foundation stick. It looks really good on the skin. It's not too dewy. It's not too matte. It's a very good foundation stick, and I would honestly recommend that one if you're looking for a foundation stick. I think I need to look to use it more and kind of go through how I feel about it, how I feel about the others I have, and just like maybe pick one or two to stick with so that way I can declutter the rest of them. Next one up is the Maybelline Matte and Poreless Fit Me Foundation. I have the shade 112. That seems to be my shade in Maybelline, like a universal, between 112, 120, depending on like the time of year. This is a really good foundation. I know they have the dewy formula, but most people don't like that, and I don't reach for that because I don't think it works well on my oily skin. The Matte and Poreless one looks really well. It applies really well. It lasts all day. This was my first like major foundation that I tried that wasn't a stick, that wasn't like, that actually worked pretty well, and I would definitely recommend this to anyone looking for something that's like a step up from what they've been using for a lot. Like if they're looking to get into makeup, I would definitely recommend that as a first step. The next one is going to be the Believe Beauty Skin Finish Foundation. Mine is in the shade Linen. This is the one you can find at Dollar General. I think it looks really nice on the skin. It lasts all day. It has a nice fresh coverage. My only gripe is that it dries out my nose and looks really weird on my nose. And I've tried to use pore filling primers. I've tried to use primers that are like hydrating on my nose to try and like fix that, and nothing seems to work. So I don't know why. Later on in the day, it looks fine, but it's just when I'm first applying it, my nose just looks so awful. And that's the only foundation I have that really does that. Next one is the Bite Beauty Changemaker Foundation. I have the shade L10. I have only used this a handful of times, and it's not my favorite foundation by any means. I bought the foundation and the powder, and I keep it in the box because it is expensive and I kind of want to, but I think I might just pitch the box, especially since I'm moving now. But it's a nice foundation. It looks really good on the skin. It lasts all day. It's like a tinted foundation kind of a thing. It says micellar foundation, so that's kind of cool. I'm not sure I would recommend this if you're looking for a more expensive foundation, but it works fairly well. The next one I have is the Rimmel Lasting Finish Foundation. I have the shade Light Ivory. I bought this on Amazon because this is very hard to find. They don't sell it in drugstores or at Walmart or Ulta or any place like that. But this is a very good foundation. It looks really good on the skin. It's one of those fresh, fresh finishes. It lasts all day. It looks really nice, and it doesn't really feel like you're wearing foundation, so that's kind of a plus. And this is one of Jessica Braun's favorite foundations, so that's kind of a plus as well. The next one is going to be the Stay Naked Weightless Liquid Foundation from Urban Decay. I have 10 CP as my shade. I think this looks really good on the skin. It might be a tinge too light, but again, I couldn't open it to swatch it or try like the shade to match, so I kind of had to just go off of what the sample one or like the tester one looked like without opening it and trying it, which kind of sucked, but that's how things are nowadays, and I totally get it for, sanitation reasons, but it made it harder for me to find a shade. But I think this looks really good on the skin. It offers a nice natural finish. It lasts all day. It's fairly good coverage. I wouldn't say it's like full coverage, but it does work pretty well, so I would definitely recommend that. The next one is the Juvia's Place I Am Magic Velvety Matte Foundation. I have the shade Vienna 700. This one, if you want a full coverage that's gonna like take your face away, this is the best one to get. This is the most full coverage foundation I have ever used in my life, and it is like everything I want in a full coverage foundation, like for coverage wise. I think this lasts okay. It's a little bit too matte for me. Maybe if they had a full coverage foundation that was like more neutral or fresh, like looking, I might prefer that. But this is still really good, and they are a black owned brand. I believe they're a woman owned business type brand. You can find them at Ulta, so I would definitely recommend checking that out. Next one up is the Pure 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie Foundation. This is in the shade LP4. This foundation has 400 shades, so you will most likely find your shade. If not, then I am very sorry. This is a good foundation. It looks really nice on the skin. It's supposed to be full coverage, but I would say it's like medium, trying to be full coverage, but it's not really full coverage. I would definitely say more medium coverage. I know this is Raw Beauty Christie's favorite foundation. It looks nice, it wears nice. I just think it needs more coverage, but for what it is, it works really well. The next one up, this is starting to get really difficult because the next 5 are like my favorite foundations. But the next one is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. Mine is in the shade 410. This foundation is one of the best fresh foundations you can get. It's not too dewy, not too matte. It looks good on the skin after multiple hours. I wouldn't say 24 because you shouldn't be wearing your foundation for 24 hours. But if you need to, this would be a good one to go with. I think this looks really nice. It's good for dry skin, but it also looks good on oily skin, so I would definitely recommend this regardless of your skin type, and I think it's great, and for being like $14.99, you can't ask for more. The next one would be the Physicians Formula, the Healthy Foundation. Mine's in the shade LN4. This one is like some of the best packaging I've ever seen of a foundation, and that's saying a lot. Like of all of these, this is probably the best packaging. It has a doe foot applicator. It's in a glass bottle. It looks expensive, but it was only $14.99 at CVS. At least that's what I paid, I think, or what most places charge. This looks really nice. This is like a Your Skin, but better than that. Like I wear this if I want to have a good skin night, if I want my skin to look fresh and like mine, but just a step like with more coverage. This is what I go for. This is one I would definitely recommend like nonstop. The next one is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Hydrate Radiance Foundation with Hyaluronic Acid in F2. I believe the others were maybe F4, but F2 seems to work just fine. This is a great foundation. It's dewy enough without being too dewy. Like, this is what I wish the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Foundation would have been. This one looks so good on my skin. I know that I can travel with this when you're allowed to travel. This is a good one to travel with for me. It looks really good. It lasts all day. I never have to worry about being too dewy, but it provides that dewiness that I want when I want to be dewy. So I would definitely recommend that one. The next one is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation, the dewy version, and I have Shell Ivory. This one, again, has a paddle just like the original one. This one offers that, like, nice shine to your skin that the original one doesn't offer. I think this is what the original one wanted to be but wasn't. This is, if you don't like the original one or it's too matte, this is the one to get. I would recommend this one to anyone, like regardless of what you're looking for, what your skin type is, like how old your skin is or whatever. I would recommend this because it works so well and it's $5. Like how much more could you ask for? And the winner and best foundation in my collection is, can you guess, the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Foundation. Mine is in the shade 112 Natural Ivory. This is the foundation. If it's raining outside, I can wear it. If it's 100 degrees, I can wear it. If it's 20 degrees, I can wear it. If I'm going to cry, I can wear it. If I'm going to hug or kiss people, I can wear it when you can do that safely. If I'm, going somewhere and I need to take good pictures, this is the foundation. This is the foundation I will like forever love. Like this would be my ride or die. This would be if you're going to talk about me to another YouTuber or in a video, this would be Tawney Emmerich's favorite foundation. Like this is my ultimate. I would recommend this to everybody. Like if there was someone, I worked with and they were asking about foundation tips, this is the one to go. It's not dewy. It's not matte. It's the perfect in between without being a little bit like, it gets dewier with your skin. So whatever your skin does, this is what this does. The shade range is good. The price is good. You cannot go wrong with this foundation. And I freaking love this. So we went from the Wet n Wild Photo Focus original one to the Maybelline Superstay, and I'm honestly so surprised at the order that these were in. I think it kind of shows which ones I prefer to use more and which ones I don't typically reach for. I think I should try and use more just to see. Sorry about the camera, guys. I think I should try and use some of these more just to see how I feel, and then I can definitely get rid of a lot of them because I do see some that I know that I'm not going to use, some that I just don't reach for. And I think it all depends on your preference, on what kind of finish you're looking for, on even brands, because you know my more expensive foundations didn't quite make it up to the top. So that definitely says something about these. I'd love to see your guys' suggestions on foundations in the comment sections. If you agreed with me, if you disagreed, if you found that ones worked better than on you than they did on me, or vice versa. I'd love to keep the conversation going in the comment section, so feel free to put down your opinion down there. Just know that this is my opinion here, so don't take offense to anything if I put something in the wrong order or whatever. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell somewhere down below so you get notified when I upload. I typically upload every 3 to 4 days, but I am moving in the next couple of weeks, so it might be very limited. I'm not doing a Vlogmas. I'm not doing anything like that. I think that's just way too much work, especially with the fact that I'm moving. I just can't handle all of that. Plus, we may be in the process of working from home, so that's another added stress. So I would definitely keep you guys filled in on what the situation is and what's going on. Hopefully some of the next videos you see will be me packing and or in the new apartment, so stay tuned for those. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!